It was a Friday evening in the heart of the city, one of those crisp autumn nights where the air carries a hint of excitement, mixed with the faint chill that makes you glad you brought a jacket. I remember it vividly because I'd spent the whole week building up to this date. Her name was Emily. We'd matched on a dating app a couple of weeks earlier, and our conversations had flowed effortlessly. She was witty, shared my love for indie coffee shops and obscure podcasts, and her photos showed a warm smile that lit up the screen. After some back-and-forth flirting, we finally set it up. Drinks at this cozy, upscale bar downtown called The Lantern, at 8 p.m. sharp. I arrived a little early, around 7:45, because I hate being late. I wanted to make a good impression. I wore my favorite button-down shirt, the dark blue one that a friend once said made me look approachable yet put together. I even splashed on some cologne. Not too much, just enough. I grabbed a spot at the bar, ordered a whiskey neat to calm the nerves, and texted her, "Here early, excited to meet you." No response yet, but that was fine. Traffic could be a nightmare. By 8:15, I was checking my phone every few minutes. Still nothing. I refreshed the app. Our chat was still there, but no new messages. I told myself she was probably running late, maybe stuck in an Uber or finishing up at work. I ordered another drink, slower this time, sipping it while scrolling through social media to pass the time. The bar was filling up, couples laughing in booths, groups of friends clinking glasses, the soft hum of jazz in the background. I felt a little out of place sitting alone, but I brushed it off. 8:30 came and went. Now a twinge of doubt crept in. I sent another text. "Everything okay?" No rush, read but no reply. That's when it started sinking in. She might not show. Being stood up isn't something you prepare for. It's this slow-building embarrassment. Like everyone's eyes are on you, even though they're not. The bartender gave me a sympathetic "Good" when I asked for water instead of a third drink. I debated leaving, but part of me held out hope. Maybe there was an emergency. Maybe her phone died. By 9 I'd accepted it. Emily wasn't coming. I felt that mix of disappointment and mild anger, the kind where you replay every conversation in your head, wondering if you misread the signals. Was I too eager? Did something I say turn her off? Or was it just one of those flaky app things that happens too often these days? I paid my tab, tipped generously because the bartender had been cool about it, and stood up to leave, feeling deflated. The night I'd hyped up in my mind was over before it began. That's when it happened. As I turned to head toward the door, the woman sitting next to me at the bar, someone I'd barely noticed in my self-absorbed waiting, leaned over with a mischievous grin. She was stunning in a casual way, curly dark hair cascading over her shoulders, green eyes that sparkled under the dim. Restaurants. Ironically, that's why she'd been excited about this date. The guy had seemed charming online, full of witty banter and promises of great conversation over drinks. As we talked, the awkwardness melted away. It turned out we'd both been stood up by people who'd picked this exact bar. Coincidence? Probably. But in that moment, it felt like the universe's way of course correcting a bad setup. Emily was easy to talk to, sharp, funny, with this infectious energy that made me forget about Sarah entirely. We ordered another round, and I slid over to the stool next to hers. That's when she turned to me, a mischievous glint in her eye, and said the words that changed everything. "Guess I'm your date now." I burst out laughing, caught off guard but totally charmed. "Is that so? Well, in that case I accept, but only if you're buying the next round. No takebacks." "Deal," she said, clinking her glass against mine. And just like that, the night flipped from embarrassing to electric. We didn't dwell on the stand-ups much after that. Instead, we dove into real conversation. She told me about her recent trip to the mountains, how she'd hiked a trail at dawn just to watch the sunrise, and I shared stories from my job as a graphic designer, the ridiculous client requests that keep me up at night. We bonded over mutual love for old-school jazz, playing in the background, and hatred for overpriced avocado toast. Hours flew by. The bar filled up around us, but it felt like we were in our own bubble. At some point, appetizers appeared, truffle fries and chard, Brussels sprouts that we shared without hesitation. She teased me about my whiskey, choice being too serious, and I fired back about her wine being pretentious. It was flirty, natural, the kind of chemistry you can't fake. When the bartender announced last call, neither of us wanted the night to end. Want to grab something proper to eat? I asked. There's a late-night diner around the corner that's legendary for their burgers. Her smile lit up. Lead the way. We walked out into the cool night air, the city lights reflecting off wet pavement from an earlier rain. As we strolled side by side, shoulders occasionally brushing, she slipped her arm through mine. You know, she said softly, getting stood up might be the best thing that's happened to me in a while. I stopped, turning to face her. Same. Fate's got a weird sense of humor. We kissed right there on the sidewalk, soft at first, then deeper, like we'd been waiting years instead of hours. It was one of those moments that feels scripted but isn't, pure and unexpected. That was 3 years ago. Emily and I have been together ever since. We got engaged last summer on that same mountain trail she loves. At sunrise, because why not recreate the magic? We laugh about our origin story all the time. How two people got ditched at the same bar and turned it into forever. Looking back, I'm grateful Sarah never showed. And whoever Emily's no-show,